What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the pre-party. Woo! Bells, whistles, ring, ring, ring. This is the pre-party with J-Cal, and I'm that guy, J-Cal, and we're here each and every Tuesday to talk the NWA with you. That hashtag NWA fam, and I'm happy you guys are here, and we're going to talk about some wrestling, especially the National Wrestling Alliance. A lot of interesting news coming out of the week. We'll get to it momentarily. I do want to say hi to my friends who are in the chat. So far, I see Bobby Bettino. I see Willie Bowen. My boys, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. If this is your first time tuning in, please consider subscribing, as we're here each and every Tuesday to get you pumped up for NWA POWERRR. And then on Thursdays, we come back and recap and retcon and reinvent everything that happened for NWA POWERRR on Thursday night, where we review the show. So please, if you enjoy what you're seeing here, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you'll never miss the action. You'll never miss the fun here at the Alliance Guys podcast. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that tonight we also have a special a post-Power show. We're not going to be talking NWA, but later tonight, if you will join us, the hour after Power, normally it's the hour before Power, but the hour after Power, we're going to be joined by the IHWE, Iconic Heroes of Wrestling Entertainment, Queen of the Ring, the Women's Champion, Amaris Blair. I got to get that right. Amaris Blair. She'll be joining us tonight, 7 p.m. after NWA Power. So come right back here to this channel, and we'll talk to Amaris Blair together. You guys can ask her some questions in the chat, and it'll be lots of fun. I see the mayor has just walked in. Everyone salute the kind mayor. Welcome for being here. And so let's talk about some NWA, right? Because what a banner weekend for the National Wrestling Alliance. First and foremost, we have to acknowledge that the NWA Women's Champion was in an XPW ring. This was hidden, man. Nobody knew this was coming. This was a shock, a surprise. Your NWA Women's World Champion, Camille, the Brickhouse, in the ring with former WWE superstar, I guess she's currently still in Impact, Taya Valkyrie. And it sure does look like she's got her pinned, right? Well, unfortunately for our pal Camille, the match never had a full finish. But if you go back and watch it, number one, you're going to be really proud to see how Camille stood in the ring against Taya Valkyrie. The one thing I'm going to have to say is she was ready. She looked good. We've been saying it for months on this show that steel sharpens steel. And make no mistake about it, Camille's ready. She's ready. She stands tall next to WWE talent. She stands tall next to the Arena champions of AAA, excuse me. She stands tall next to the Impact Women's World Champion. She's defeated stars from all over the world. We're talking Legit Layla. We're talking Serena Deep. We're talking our very own Thunder Rosa. She has victories over Genocide. She has victories over so many talented women in the world of professional wrestling. And on Saturday night, part of the marathon return of XPW to Southern California, she went toe-to-toe with one of the best, and she didn't take a step backwards at all. She looked great. My hat's off to Camille, the Women's World Champion. She brought the Burke to Southern California. If I had known, maybe I would have. No, I would not have gone to an XPW show. I made that mistake once, and I'll never do it again. But you have to pat her on the back and give her a high five. Camille doing the damn thing, and I'm very proud of her. I see some of the comments in the chat already here. Our pal Rick Del Santos here from Pro Wrestling Zone Podcast. Make sure that you check out his channel. He's also on YouTube, and I would appreciate it if you like this show. Go subscribe to his show because Rick's a good dude, and their podcast, they have a NWA centric podcast. I believe it's called the NWA Spotlight. Him and I can't remember your partner's name for the life of me. But Rick does a great job talking about the NWA past, present, and future. So it was really good. So thanks for being here. And Rick has to say that was a really good match. I've always been a fan of Natalya Valkyrie. She used to be represent the NWA years ago in a promotion north of the border called Extreme. What was it? Oh gosh, now I forgot the name of the company. ECCW. Oh, Extreme Canadian Championship Wrestling. There it is. Got it. Woo! And she was part of that promotion early on, and battling for the Supergirls Championship. And I thought at one point that they might put the NWA Worlds Heavyweight title on her, but then she did the pilgrimage to Mexico, trained in Lucha Libre, became part of the Perros Del Mar, and the rest is history. Taya with a great career in the world of professional wrestling. Honestly, shocked when WWE released her, much like everyone else. I'm sure she's in Impact now, but she could probably go just about anywhere. And the fact that Camille stood in the ring with her toe to toe, awesome. Mickey Biggs, thank you, PW, thank you, Rick. Mickey Biggs. Willie Bowen agrees that Camille is awesome. Yeah, I mean, what a great match. You guys, it's on YouTube. You can find it. Literally type in Taya versus Camille. You'll find the match. It was like on a marathon XPW show. I heard that they were the show finally ended sometime around 4 a.m. local time. So amazing, incredible. I know at one point Brian Cage was the heavyweight champion of the new XPW. I don't know if he still is. I hadn't really seen much of the results of that show, just that specific match. I sought it out. People were tweeting at me, "Hey, J-Cow, go check it out." Camille is in XPW, and the last time we had a world's champion from the NWA in an XPW show, it was Sabu. Sabu at one point simultaneously held the 10 pounds of gold and the XPW world title. It's a crazy time, the early 2000s, my friends. But certainly that he didn't come to XPW with the 10 pounds of gold, obviously, but just kind of a weird coincidence. Yes, Pro Wrestling Zone Extreme Canadian Championship Wrestling, ECCW, based out of I think it's British Columbia. I think Surrey specifically. At one point, they were doing shows in Portland, Oregon, and I think in Washington, I want to say, but those shows came to an end kind of abruptly. I guess there were some border disputes. I don't know. Some stuff I'm not really too privy of, but nevertheless, Camille taking on Taya Valkyrie, probably her biggest challenge to date. Did not lose, did not take a pinfall. In fact, looked very dominant in the match. Hit the spear, had the 3 count. The referee was pulled out by Taya's assistant, and that was that. All right. Willie says Taya Valkyrie is a former Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion. I thought I said that, but maybe I didn't. Thanks for pointing that out, Willie. Rick says, over a 6-hour show, it was hard to sit through. Rick, are you telling me you watched the whole thing? Incredible, man. 6 hours, like WrestleMania. I get 6 hours for WrestleMania. 6 hours for XPW. I hope you did shifts, man, because that's crazy. Something else that we talk about, and that's a let me cycle back here a little bit. That's a positive for the NWA too. And I know you're thinking, well, how is the NWA involved? They probably didn't book her. Well, I'm sure they didn't book her to go to XPW. But the fact that you're women's world champion, the top of the mountain for the NWA when it comes to women's wrestling, she's undefeated since winning that title. She went to XPW, the home of extreme death matches. XPW's in my own backyard. I've been there. I saw New Jack try to kill Vic Grimes at the Grand Olympic Auditorium. I was there the night the ECW locker room emptied out on the XPW ring crew. I mean, I was there for some of these moments. I was there to see my pal Chaos, in the ring at XPW. All of this stuff, man, was wild. But the fact that Camille was there representing and made to look like, they didn't job her out. They didn't throw her down to the mat. They didn't just, no, she went toe-to-toe with Taya Valkyrie. That's incredible, man. That's incredible. I'm stoked first of all, I'm stoked for the NWA. I think that's a great look for their Women's World Champion. Perception is reality. And when you talk about a talent like Taya Valkyrie, she's well known, she's well respected all over North America. She's been a very positive pro wrestler. I mean, there's not been a lot of bad things ever said about her, but the fact that she's been so dominant wherever she's gone, with the exception of the WWE, and obviously that was a bad deal all to get with. They released like so many talents. I think they signed all these people not really knowing what they were going to do with them, and then decided just to cut bait. But Taya Valkyrie, I mean, she's headlined AAA cards, she's headlined Impact cards. She's an incredible athlete. She's awesome. So when Camille goes out there and is able to go toe-to-toe with her, I think that's awesome. Willie Bowen says Taya Valkyrie also wrestled Natalya Markova too. Yeah, I saw a clip of that earlier today too. But again, I think it's just really cool, man. And the fact that she didn't take a loss. They didn't screw her. I mean, they threw the match out, and that in a sense it kind of screwed her over, but Ty had to cheat to not lose. I mean, that's a victory. That's huge. In other news, your World's Heavyweight Champion, always ready, Matt Cardona, was scheduled to face Davey Richards at the All-Star Wrestling in West Virginia at their 16th anniversary show. Excuse me. Turns out a staph infection would keep Davey Richards from making that title defense. So they essentially stripped him of the title and found a replacement to go into the match, and that would be Richard Holiday. Now, Richard Holiday has really been popping up everywhere. You guys might know him most from his time in MLW, where he was part of the Dynasty group with MJF and Alexander Hammerstone. Recently turned his back on Hammerstone and made out with Alicia Tout, and that was kind of a weird thing. But anyways, Holiday was there, just trying to make the best out of a bad situation. All-Star Wrestling needed a replacement. Holiday is battle-tested. He's been all over the country and has held titles in MLW and in IWA Puerto Rico. So it wasn't like he was a slouch. And he had everything to gain, right? I mean, you never know. It's a crapshoot. If you're not prepared for your opponent, you never know what's going to happen. I don't really think that he was going to lose the title, he being Matt Cardona, but it's always a possibility. Anyways, Matt Cardona, your new All-Star Wrestling champion. And it's kind of, it is what it is. I mean, at this point, the dude is carrying 7 championship titles all around the country, wherever he goes. Now, he could lighten his load if he just left that internet championship at home, but no, he insists on taking that belt everywhere with him. The good news is when the title's on the line, he's executed. He despite the extended circumstances, he defeated Nick Aldis. He came game ready for Tim Storm. He defeated Richard Holiday. And tonight he has a new opponent, and he's going to have an opportunity to showcase how good of a champion he genuinely, truly is. Let me see some more of your comments before I get to it. Sean Mega's in the house. Welcome, Sean. Pipe Picasso's here. Welcome, gentlemen. Bobby Petito says, I like the 60 seconds promo so far on NWA USA with Caprice Coleman. Why did I say it like that? Kenzie Page and Natalya Markova. I did not see NWA USA yet. It is on my hit list, but it's been a busy week. We've been doing a lot of interviews, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. Pipe says, Pope should be wrestling Cardona on a pay-per-view. Let the champ wrestle jobbers for the title on Power. Interesting take, Pipe. I will say this, because, look, I'm not trying to play the spoiler here, but if the Pope won the title tonight's episode, we would have already known about it. We'd have heard about it last week at the tapings. The fact that we haven't heard anything probably means that Cardona keeps that belt. However, most times in the NWA, it's not the first championship match where a winner wins the world title. A winner wins the world title. A competitor, a wrestler, a grappler, a superstar wins the world title. If you look back, going back even to, if we look back to, let's say, Tim Storm, when he defeated Jack Staines for the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship, it wasn't on his first, wasn't on Jack Staines' first title defense. In fact, he had multiple matches with Tim Storm before Tim Storm finally won the World's Heavyweight Championship. And looking ahead, Nick Aldis didn't defeat Tim Storm the first time they squared off in a ring in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Remember, it was at CZW a few months later where he won the World's Heavyweight Championship. Cody Rhodes is an exception to that rule. Cody Rhodes faced Aldis one time, was able to walk away with the title. They did a 2 out of 3 falls match, and Aldis reclaimed it. When Aldis lost the title to Trevor Murdoch, it wasn't the first time those two gentlemen had stepped in the ring. Remember, they had wrestled for the title a few months earlier at the T-Mart Fan Fest. I believe that was in North Carolina. So, with all that being said, Matt Cardona is an exception. He was an exception to win that title on his first opportunity for the 10 pounds of gold. And let's be honest, he is a champion, but he's not impenetrable. And if the Pope comes out tonight and has a good showing and fans treat it respectfully and the fans are excited for it and the fans want to see more of the Pope, I guarantee you the NWA is listening. They're listening, guys. They hear what we say on this show. They see what you're tweeting. They see what you post about on Instagram. They're listening. So I'm not saying that we decide who the champions are, but I'm telling you, if there's a challenger who the fans show interest in and can rally behind and get behind, there's a much better opportunity for that person to become champion. And when you talk about somebody like the Pope, who's been with the NWA pretty much since the relaunch of POWERRR, the launch of POWERRR, was a formidable champion when POWERRR returned, right? He's a guy who I'd put my money on as to be a future world heavyweight champion. And so, we kind of jumped around there a bit, but tonight's main event is going to be the Pope versus Matt Cardona, 10 pounds of gold on the line. That happens in just about 45 minutes or so. And, one thing you have to say about Matt Cardona is, yes, he's getting the world talking. And, some good, some bad, but he is getting people to focus on the NWA. People are talking about the NWA. He's doing his job. Is there other people that could do that? Yes. I recently saw a discussion on Facebook where our own pal, Dodie, and our other pal, Chris, were arguing over Nick Aldis's importance as world champion, if Aldis should be the guy to come back in. And I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you think Nick Aldis should be the guy to take the belt off of Matt Cardona? It'll be interesting. All right, more of your comments. Bobby Bettino says, I'm looking forward to watching the Dirty Sexy Boys, Dirty Dango, and JTG wrestling tonight in the NWA. Yeah, man, they're taking on the Commonwealth Connection. I was almost expecting them to be done after the Crockett Cup because, first of all, Doug Williams lives in the UK, so I don't expect to see him too much unless it's TV tapings or pay-per-views. And Harry Smith is a very well-recognized talent. I'm not sure what his genuine status is with the NWA, but seeing him and Doug Williams in the NWA makes my heart happy. I feel like the NWA is trying to showcase better talent. It's trying to get better. With that being said, JTG has been a breath of fresh air in the NWA. I don't think we should undervalue what he's done. And Dango and JTG have done a great job as a tag team. They're They're not world champions, but they're certainly always in the hunt. I feel like they'd be good if they stuck around. But I mean, then we even hear like Dango pulling down his whole Twitter and saying that he's going to retire from wrestling in a few years or a few months. It's kind of hard to kind of figure that guy out. Not that we need to, but as a fan, you don't know, you don't want to get behind someone who's not going to be here in a couple of weeks, a couple of months. More of your comments. Chris Drummond says, I can't wait to watch Matt Cardona, a.k.a. the savior of the NWA. Now take it down a notch, Mr. Chris. You know, you and I go way back. Matt Cardona is your World's Heavyweight Champion, but let's take it easy with the savior talk. I haven't seen Matt Cardona walk on water just yet. I haven't seen Matt Cardona, they're not working the Phillips Arena. They're at the Skyline Studios in Tennessee and Nashville. It's not the same. They're getting there. But I'm not going to call that guy a savior until I see that card start going into, the attendance go from the 500-seat arena, 1,000-seat arena to the 5,000-seat arena. Then we can start talking savior of the NWA. Then we can start throwing roses at his feet as some sort of conquering hero. But until that attendance number jumps up a few thousand, he's just another guy. He's a guy that got some buzz, yes, but he's just another guy. Willie Bowen brings up the fact that Matt Cardona did lose. Well, Matt, Willie, it wasn't a title match for either competitor. It was a straight-up singles match, exhibition, if you will. No title was on the line. The United Wrestling Network Championship was not on the line. The NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship was not on the line. It was a game-changer wrestling match. Now, again, it should be noted that neither title was on the line. Neither match was sanctioned by either promotion, and it was in Game Changer. So, I mean, certainly there's got to be some bragging rights for the newly signed New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestler, but no, it wasn't a title match. Our boy, the mayor, says the Crockett Cup main event ending sucked, and Aldo should have done the time-honored tradition for Cardona. Damn! All right, Mayor, I see what you're saying. And look, Cardona, yes, that ending was bizarre. I didn't like it. Thought it was a little weird. And even I was sitting there chanting BS during the course of that match at the ending, because it was just the best way I could describe it is, I'm not the biggest Nick Aldis fan either, and I think he's a hell of a talent. I don't necessarily want him to be the next World's Heavyweight Champion, but the ending was just weird. Like, why did we need to go that route? You had VSK and Mike Knox come out, and they caused a ruckus, and then they were met by the Commonwealth Connection, which, give all the props in the world to Davey Boy Smith Jr. Harry. I'm going to just call him Harry Smith. Give all the props to Harry Smith for coming out there and making the save, but he really has no connection to Nick Aldis. And, I mean, he was only following the lead of his partner, Doug Williams, who, I mean, let's be honest, Doug Williams was supposed to be in that tag team tournament with Nick Aldis. I'm surprised there's no, storyline-wise, like, well, why isn't he upset? They had a shot at the Crockett Cup. Instead, them boys won it. So, needless to say, it was a little chaotic, but that's how it goes, right? Bobby Petito brings up that Homicide, and this is good news. I did not know this. Homicide retained his junior heavyweight championship against Peter Avalon at Catalyst Wrestling last Sunday. I did not check the results on that, so thanks for the info, Bobby. And Peter Avalon, as much as I love Peter Avalon, and I do, I was surprised he got that match. He's not a regular for Catalyst. He's not a regular in the NWA. I mean, the last time we saw Peter Avalon in the National Wrestling Alliance was a 70th anniversary show and a Kiss My Foot match with Tim Storm. Excuse me. So to see him in that position was pretty cool. I have to find footage on the match, though. Surprised that he got it. Glad he did. Surprised. Willie Bowen said Dan Sermon beat Chris Candido. I think that goes back to what I was talking about. Is there something wrong with my voice? Okay. Willie Bone says Dan Severn beat Chris Candido. And I think that goes back to what I was talking about earlier when champions winning on their first title match. Pi Picasso says the NWA USA had a 72-year-old Mike Action Jackson wrestle. He needs to be pushed to the moon. I have problems with guys wrestling in their 60s. Special attraction be damned. I know Mike Jackson captures the imaginations and thoughts of many people from the South, especially when it comes to pro wrestling, but goodness gracious, 72 years old. As fans, it's our job to suspend belief, right? We all know that this is a worked sport. I have a hard time suspending belief that a 72-year-old wrestler can beat anybody. I mean, I've known 72-year-old people. They're not very... I don't know what to say. Good for Action Jackson to still be out there doing what he loves. Good for him. Bobby Petito says, I'm looking forward to watching Natalya Markova versus Kilynn King tonight in the NWA. Always bring it back to the show, my friend Bobby Petito, talking about this one, which should be a banger of a match. Look, Natalya Markova has been a force to reckon with on NWA USA. She's had programs with Kenzie Page. Every time she's out there, she just looks really good. And despite whether you like her or don't like her, you got to learn to respect her, because Natalya Markova has been a very dominant competitor for NWA USA. She's been victorious on episodes of Power. I genuinely, honestly thought that Natalya Markova would be the next woman to get a shot at the Burke and Camille for the NWA. But, the last show they went with Chelsea Green and Smiley Kylie Ray. Who knows? Maybe at Power Trip too. Maybe Natalya Markova will finally get her shot at the Burke. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Let's see. Rick Del Santo says, yes, Aldis for champ. I know his answer. And I'm not saying that. I do want to clarify. I don't think Aldis is a bad guy. I don't think he's a bad wrestler. I just think you have better options out there. And Aldis has had 2 reigns as champion, which was basically for a total of, 4 years? I mean, notwithstanding a month and a half that Cody held the belt, he was world champion for almost 4 years. He went to China with the title. He went to the United Kingdom and defended the title in Australia. Again, being an all-in, one of the biggest shows, independent wrestling shows of all time, and he was part of one of the headlining acts. I mean, you can't take away what Nick Aldis did as world champion. But what more does he have to do? I mean, he's already going to go down as one of the greatest in the NWA of all time. But what more does he have to prove? I like the idea of him and Doug Williams going after the Crockett Cup and trying to win that, because it's something that he hasn't accomplished in the NWA. You got to remember, the guy has a background in tag team wrestling. It's nothing new for him as a singles wrestler with multiple titles. I mean, he teamed with Samoa Joe. He teamed with Doug Williams. He's been in tag teams before. But what could he really do in the NWA that would trump, no pun intended, what he's already done? I like him a lot, despite what he thinks about me, but I don't feel like I need him as a world's champion. Not yet. Maybe down the road. I mean, it hasn't even been a full year since he hasn't been world champion. Hasn't been a full year. Let that sink in. Wrestling with the MMA says, I do not feel that Aldis should take the belt off Cardona. I'd like to see younger talent and get a build program with him and play it out over a few pay-per-views. Yeah, I mean, Terry McDermott would probably say it if he was here. Jordan Clearwater, Nick Aldis would be an excellent feud to kind of help groom Mr. Jordan Clearwater into like that next big thing. Clearwater is great, man. He's a talent that I really feel like the NWA underutilizes a lot. But we'll see how it goes. Sean Mega says La Rebellion and the Briscoes is the real potential money feud in the NWA. 100%, Sean. I agree with you head over fist. That's the most that match is the most inspired match that I can think of. Next, look, I'm all about Pope and Cardona, and I think that's a big money draw if you let it be a big money draw. If you give us 1 week of time for it to breathe and put it on a show that was already taped, nobody can get too excited about it. We already know what happens. But if you tell me that's booked for the 74th anniversary show, Pope versus Cardona for the second time for the 10 pounds of gold, and we put that on a pay-per-view, man, I think that's going to draw some interest. You let these guys work a couple of weeks on television with promos back and forth, always ready, and the people's champion. I think that's money, and I think that's even more money than a tag team match with La Rebellion and the Briscoes. But don't get me wrong, I think that's also a big money match. I think that's going to get a lot of interest when they finally do book that. Yes, sir. This is kind of going back to the discussion last week. NWA champ shouldn't be jobbing outside of the NWA, even if it's a non-title match. Just my opinion. Again, I totally agree with that, Hisa. I am with you on that. I feel the problem with the NWA is they don't get to control the bookings of somebody like Matt Cardona. Now, let's be honest, Matt Cardona is in the business to make money. He's out there just to get booked, and he'll work anywhere. I mean, if I throw together a couple $1,000s, I could have him in my wrestling show in my backyard. I don't think he says no. I think he says how much whenever the question's put up to him. So with that being said, and you can't fault a guy for trying to make a living, but if the NWA doesn't like that, then they should never have put the belt on him in the first place. Chris Drummond says, I'm the top Nick Aldis hater. I gladly take my crown off to you, fine sir, that you may wear with all the disdain and hateness that you have for Aldis, so that you forever be known as the Nick Aldis hater. And I will lick my wounds over here in the corner. Doty says Cardona lost to Dickinson and Aldis outside of the NWA. It looks like he needs to be proved himself why he's worthy as world champion. He definitely should have some better, higher profile matches. Now, the victory over Richard Holiday, I think, is a good step forward in the right direction. I need to see more title matches. That's the thing. Cardona as world champion is great, except for when he's at WrestleMania weekend defending the Impact Digital Media Championship or defending another promotion's title over the 10 pounds of gold. Being the champion is almost meaningless if you're not defending that title. Anytime Matt Cardona steps onto a wrestling mat outside of an Impact ring, it should be for the 10 pounds of gold. And he should be documenting it. He should be posting it on his YouTube page. It should be in between, action figure shopping with Matt Cardona. I really feel like he is underutilizing the 10 pounds of gold. He is underutilizing the brand of the NWA. And again, I think he can only do so much, but until that title is really being defended, everything else is just talk. Oh, Bobby Petito says he'd like to see Andy Brown as a wrestler in the NWA. I know. Well, let me rephrase that. I can't say I know because we're not like on a first name basis, but I know who Andy Brown is. He spent a lot of time out in Hollywood. Great dude. I kind of wish he was in the NWA as well. I don't think he is on their radar. That doesn't mean he won't be. I just think as of right now, he isn't. So that's probably why you won't see him. Chris Drummond says, it depends on if promotions respect the title. Ring of Honor champions never jobbed on the indies. Yeah. And remember, too, no one's officially said this from the NWA. No one's officially put this out there. I think putting the belt on Cardona was a last-minute decision. I don't think that was the original plans going into Power Trip. I don't have any documentation to back it up. But I just feel like there would have been more mileage out of having a series of title matches with Cardona and Trevor Murdoch. The heat was real. It was very palatable. Trevor Murdoch is obviously a guy who's got he's a very real individual. He's a very real human being. So I don't think he was playing a character when he was having his war of words with Matt Cardona. I wish it would have turned into a series of matches. if the champ is willing to job in outside promotion who doesn't respect the NWA, looks like the NWA should think twice of who they put their title on. Dodie, you and I are in concert on that one. I agree. I don't think the 10 pounds of gold should be jobbed. And it doesn't matter if he doesn't carry the belt to the ring. If you're the champion, you're the champion, and your name still has an L next to it. It looks bad for the NWA. Dave Scooby says he can be Colby's grandpa in reference to Action Jackson. Man, I mean, he could be his great-grandpa. I mean, maybe that's a little extreme, but you get what I'm saying. I know that they have a special relationship, him and man, my brain isn't working today. Anyways, we'll move on. Mike Jackson looked great. All right, you guys. Hey, I'm allowed to be wrong. Okay, I'm allowed to not like an old 72-year-old pro wrestler. You guys can enjoy what you want. It's a free country, man. And if you don't live in this country, you're free to still like whoever wrestlers you like. Nobody is mandating that you have to have a special affinity for any certain wrestler. Bobby Petito says he'd like to see Homicide versus Rhett Titus for the junior heavyweight title. That match is supposed to be coming too. Mr. William Patrick Corrigan made that announcement on the last episode of Power. Sean says Action Jackson's walks the ropes. Okay, man, I get it. You like Action Jackson. I'm wrong. Pipe Picasso says Joe Galley is leaving his job as a reporter to be with the NWA full time. Things are moving, man. That NWA machine is pumping, guys. What we're seeing now is still the baby steps, and I really feel like we're going to start seeing that locomotion. I think I can. The NWA is starting to move forward. That pandemic pause really hurt them, and I know a lot of people are saying, hey, there's a lot of promotions that the pandemic pause hurt, but they're up and running. But the NWA is different. It's a different animal. And now that they've got their bearings beneath them, the booking's getting better, the show is getting better. They're doing more bigger names on the shows. You're seeing them starting to run in different places. They were back in Nashville. They're doing the tapings in Nashville at the Skyline Studios. They're going back to Oak Grove, Kentucky for the next Power trip. But after that, I don't know what's going to happen for them. Maybe they're going to go back to some more smaller arena shows. Maybe they'll go back to Atlanta, where they originally were supposed to have the Crockett Cup 2021 or 2020, excuse me. We'll have to wait and see. Dave Scooby says, build up the talent on NWA USA, then push them on Power. I mean, I think that's a time-tested formula that makes so much sense to me. You have these guys. There's a lot of guys. Caprice Coleman was a perfect example. You put him out there against Alex Taylor of the Ill Begotten. He looked great, had a great match. Now what? Are you going to have him wrestle another match on NWA USA? Cool. Have him squash somebody else. Captain Yuma, a friend of our show, Jeremiah Plunkett. Have him get another victory and then start putting them into a title picture. Put them into a feud. Let's get these guys going, because that's how you're going to continue to grow this brand. I think that's a time-honored, tested formula to Scooby, and I wish they would start doing it. Dodie says Natalya should put her game higher, and NWA should push her better than just Miss NWA USA. Couldn't agree more with you, Dodie. 100%. I feel like she's really she's done the damn thing. Okay, she looks great when she's out there. I know her victory. I didn't see last week's USA, but the week before she had a really good outing there. She's looked great in the ring. Her pros are pretty good, but I don't think there's anybody else on her level in the NWA currently that isn't Camille. And I mean, I might even say Genocide, but I don't think you'd put Genocide with Natalya Markova. I think Genocide should start going through the jobber circle. She should start beating up some little lesser-known talents and start building up for a run at the Women's World's Champion. Chris Sherman says the NWA of today is not the NWA of the 80s. You do know that NWA champions jobbed in promotions after the WCW split. I mean, bro, if you're talking about oh God, what's his name? Colorado Kid Mike Rapata, you're right. But like, it wasn't like Ric Flair went to Japan and jobbed out to, Ricky Chosu, or it's not like he went over there and did the job for, Masahiro Chono. It took Tatsuji Fujinami, who was the top of the game, to take the title off of Ric Flair. The whole thing about it is, you're right. We're not dealing with the NWA of the 80s. It's probably more important to protect the world champion now, because that definitive period that was so aloof to most wrestling fans, that they didn't get to see the Colorado Kid, Mike Rapata. They didn't get to see Steve Corino or Sabu carry the 10 pounds of gold. They didn't get to see Scrap Iron Adam Pierce or Colt Boom Boom Cabana or the Blue Demon or Brent Albright or the Sheik. They didn't get to see Rob Conway. They didn't get to see Jax Dane carrying the 10 pounds of gold. They didn't get to see Tokyo Monster Haggis. So I feel like you're right that Ric Flair and, wrestling from the 80s was different from now, but I still feel like they have to protect the world champion at all costs. Yeah, Sean, I do believe that Joe Galli quitting his job is a sign of that. I don't know Joe Galli, his personal life. I've had a meal with him before. He's a nice guy. He used to be really tight with the United Wrestling Network. He was with Dave Marquez for many, many years. He's at the NWA now. He does a phenomenal job. I think he's a great broadcaster. I don't know what it takes for him to survive. I don't know if the NWA is compensating him where he doesn't have to work anymore, or if he just doesn't need to have two jobs, or maybe they decide to pay him more of a full-time salary. I don't know what the deal is with Joe Galli, but I agree with you. If he's quitting his job, it means there must be some sort of form of security with the NWA. And I don't know if that's a guaranteed paycheck, if he's getting paid, if he's a salary employee. I don't know what the deal is, but I like Galli, and I hope whatever this means is all positive for the NWA. Bobby Petito is asking who Camille is going to be wrestling at Power Trip. And I think, I don't know. They haven't made an announcement yet. I think it's got to be Markova. And it's not who? Unless it's Talia Valkyrie, I'm okay with that. I think Pipe was talking about Sean Mega and Joe Galli. Yeah. Mega also says, I have no problem with champions jobbing in promotions most people know nothing about, but I doubt the majority of NWA Power viewers knew he lost. You might be onto something, but Game Changer Wrestling is one of the top independent promotions in the country right now. So it's not like it was a nothing nobody promotion. It was a pretty well-known wrestling promotion, and their pay-per-view numbers have been pretty good on Fight. I don't have numbers in front of me, but what you hear is that their numbers are good. They're doing so much good business that they started a offshoot promotion in Los Angeles. They're doing the Bloodsport. They're doing Joey Janela's party, spring breaks. They're doing WrestleMania weekends. They load up. They're doing shows in New Jersey in the regular. They're doing shows in LA on the regular. They're making these shows available on YouTube for you to watch. So I feel like they're doing something right, and they're getting more exposure for themselves, of course. So when you have Matt Cardona in a position where he loses and it's in Game Changer Wrestling, that's different if it was then, J. Cal's pro wrestling promotion in, Southern California that nobody watches. It's a big difference. He just says maybe Aldis is to the NWA like Bockwinkel was to the AWA. If nobody else is available, put the belt on him. And I wouldn't even hate that, he said. I wouldn't, but there are guys who are good. Like Trevor Murdoch was better than what they presented him as. And now this heel turn or this change of attitude, I really feel like he's getting better. And he's the guy that I wanted to see as world champion. I think the Pope would have been a perfect choice for world champion. I think Pope in that position would have been so much more better. And that's no offense to Trevor Murdoch, because I thought he was a good champion. I felt like he deserved more. But I feel like if the Pope was in that position at the 73rd anniversary show and not Trevor, I feel like you would have gotten a better run. Maybe I'm wrong. Doty says, no one said the NWA today is the same as the NWA of the 80s, but Adam, Rob, Nick, not even Trevor, they don't just randomly job in a non-title match. Exactly. Oh, look at that. Late breaking news. Taya Valkyrie, Camille at XPW. The rematch will be June 25th. I got to check my calendar. Where am I going to be June 25th? If they make that a women's world title match, I might have to be there. I don't like XPW. Bobby Matino says, Aria Davari did great against Sauronaro on NWA USA. And then Davari called out Nick Aldis. Really? I got to go see USA. Chris says, but there's no one there, but there's others who the NWA could invest in. Pope is one. Exactly. See, Chris and I are kind of on the same page. I don't hate Aldis, but I don't need Aldis right now. I think Aldis, let's save Aldis for about a year. Let's talk about Aldis coming back for the title this time next year. That to me would be impressive if the NWA could be that patient, because the real money match, I keep going back to this. This is the real money match. That would have done it right there. Pope and Aldis for the 10 pounds of gold. That would have been the money match. And they could still do that. What if they did it as the opposite? That Pope is a world champion and Aldis comes after him. Woo! Now you're printing money, guys. Now you can make some money. Bobby said that he liked my interview with Ray Jazz. I'd like to see him wrestle at the NWA. I even asked him, hey, would you like to be a junior heavyweight competitor for the NWA? And he says, yeah, no opportunity missed, but I'm a heavyweight wrestler. We did an interview with Ray Jazz. You can still check it out on our Twitch channel, but it's going to be part of a bigger interview that we do next Monday. We'll be interviewing Chris Steeler, James Molyneux, I think I said that right, and of course Ray Jazz. That segment will be included as a precursor to the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators event that happens on April 23rd in Glassboro, New Jersey at the MaxFit Sports Center. The event titled Marking Your Territory, their first big show of the year. No, I think it's the second big show of the year. The title versus title match, or not a title versus title, but Ray Jazz defending the dog title against Breaker Morant, a man who never lost the belt. Should be fun. Dodie says, I hope Billy's brave enough to push Pope higher after this and not make today's match just another title match. See, Dodie, I think this is a test, right? If we all respond the right way, they have more leverage to say, yes, let's put the title on Pope. If this flops and everyone's like, who cares? Let's go, Matt Cardona, then I think that's what's going to happen. So, again, respectfully, if you love the Pope and you think this is the matchup that we want to see on pay-per-view, tweet that. Share that. Let them know. Respectfully. Don't be a jerk. Nobody listens to jerks. But go out there and state your opinion. If you like the Pope and you want to see him wrestle for the 10 pounds of gold on pay-per-view, tweet that. Hey, guys. Hey, hashtag NWA. Let's put the Pope in another title match. He was great. Just saying. Man, I got to catch up to your guys' comments. We only got 15 minutes left. Pipe Picasso says, so many angles at Cardona. Pope's revenge, Trevor's rematch, Jack staying with his shot, and Aldis sticking his nose in it. Exactly. There's so many options. We can put Aldis to the side. Let's take care of Pope. Let's take care of Murdoch. Let's take care of Jax. Let's take care of Tyrus, because he's still your TV champion. He only needs 2 more victories to qualify for a world title shot. And then after all that, if none of those guys come close and you don't have a better challenger, then bring in Aldis. I think that works. In the meantime, specifically last week, Billy Corgan said that Nick Aldis is out of title matches. So if you're out of title matches, how do you get to the title, right? You go on a winning streak. You start wrestling. You go from the bottom up to the top. I think that's important. I think you have to build yourself up. So when we talk about these title matches, when we talk about I got distracted. When we talk about the people who can challenge for the title, Aldis doesn't have the points. He doesn't meet the qualifications. So have him go on a win streak, or have him body slam Tyrus to get a TV title shot, or have him feud with Jack Stane to get the national title shot. Honestly, the quickest way to the 10 pounds of gold is to beat Jack Stane to become the number 1 contender with the national title. The second fastest way to become a number 1 contender is to beat up Tyrus and win 7 matches in a row and get your shot at the title. Or if we count history, just go into the ring after the show and beat up Matt Cardona. That might get you a number 1 contender shot. It worked for Mike Knox on Trevor Murdoch, so who knows? Willie Bowen says, I miss the territory days when the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion would wrestle each territory heavyweight champion. That would be cool, too. Bobby Batito says, Marche Rocket wrestled last Saturday on NWA USA. Yeah, I haven't seen the match, but I know what he did. Sean Mega says, I would not invest in the Pope. Guys like Mims, Clearwater, Arya, Morton need to be invested in. Mecha Wolf as a solo wrestler would be awesome. All right. I mean, I don't necessarily agree, but I think you might be onto something. Bobby Petito says, I would like to see Josh Woods or Silly Chung wrestle in the NWA. DKM agreed with me that pandemic killed Ring of Honor. It did. It did. Sean Mega said Ring of Honor is basically an AEW house show. I did hear that there's something going on with he talked to Time Warner, Tony Khan, trying to get something set up with Ring of Honor, but we don't know. Dodie says Homicide against Captain Union seems interesting. I mean, I'd like it. It's the mayor says it's hard to build up anyone on a 30-minute YouTube show, even though they're trying to push Marche Rocket on USA. And he's a good dude too. I like Marche. I want to see him get these opportunities. And you're right. I kind of want to know what the deal with Sinclair is now. I know that Ring of Honor was a paid to I guess Ring of Honor was paid for by Sinclair, but the channels had to air it. Not every channel got to determine if they aired it or not. So I wonder if another wrestling program were to come to Sinclair, would it get the same carte blanche that Ring of Honor did? And if that were the NWA, I mean, would that work? Would that benefit the NWA, or are they better off how they are? Have the Cardonas versus the End. Have Cardona take out Paro. In doing that, it sets up Odinson to come after Cardona. Give them a series of matches over the course of several months. Boom, roasted. I mean, there you go. Jeremy hits it right there. Wrestling with the MMA. Yes, you just created another opportunity to have someone else in the title picture. Dodie says, I never found the appeal of Marche Rocket. Pair him with Idolmania and Church Money. At least give him a bit more character. I think they're working on that. Bowen says, Jordan Clearwater is the number one contender for the Dickinson's United Wrestling Network Heavyweight Championship. I think you're right. I think because he won the because he won the Red Carpet Rumble. Galley is one of my favorite modern announcers from Rick. Yeah, I agree, man. Bobby says he wants to see Jack Stain versus Adonis. I think Adonis needs to heal up. That's what I heard. I don't know how healthy he is. Dodie says, J. Cal Pro Wrestling sounds like a potion full of jabronis. We need the fixers. Yeah, ham sandwich jabronis. Willie Bowen says, the Watts, the Gun Show, and Anthony Idol should be on the NWA Power and USA roster. I don't know what's going on with Watts. I haven't seen him at all in Southern California. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him rejoining the Raising the Bar when they start promoting again. But he has been absent from Hollywood. Anthony Idol, he's doing indies out here, but he has been absent from Hollywood. I don't think we'll see him back there anytime soon. It's a shame. I really liked him. Sean Mega says, what is this new Saudi Arabia promotion I was talking about? There's a promotion. I'll have to get it for you. I think it's UAE. It was based in the United Arab Emirates, and I think they were called like United Wrestling Nation or something like that. It wasn't anything to do with the Dave Marquez, but I think it was UWN was their initials. Private message me and I'll look it up for you. Pipe says, I used to hate on Camille, but her wrestling has improved tremendously. Steel sharpens steel, Pipe. I mean, steel sharpens steel. She's gotten good. Cody says, last week Power sucks because no women's match. We need the women's both for Power and USA because that's the most interesting division in the NWA since day one. Damn. Cody says it. He says, what's up, you bad, nasty boys? Heaves in the house. Dave Scooby said, so stoked for the dog on the 23rd. Get to see some new faces. Absolutely, Scooby. Wear your Alliance shirt so Dr. Lawrence Zirconium or Jaden can see you there. And I don't know if that'll get you anything, but I hope he at least gets you a hot dog or something. Because I know that's a trek for you, but that's awesome that you're going there representing. Let's see. I love it. Shit. Tyrus could play Jabba the Hutt in a biopic. Yeah. There's somebody in the chat. I don't think I can ban him from where I'm at right now, but I got to. Let's see. Block user. The mayor says, didn't Jack Dane use a shot for the national title right after he lost? Yes, Mayor, he did. But you have to keep in mind that the national champion, as reminded us by Nick Aldis, because it was always in the previous ownership, the previous NWA, that the North American title was always the number 2 title for the National Wrestling Alliance, at least from the 90s on. With that being said, the North American champion was always number 1 contender. The national champion was the number 2 contender. Well, now that there is no North American title, the national title bumped up. National champion is always the number 1 contender. And again, Nick Aldis reminded us that on This is the Pro Wrestling podcast. That is now This is the NWA podcast on the NWA channel during the Trevor Murdoch feud, when they were talking to Aldis about Chris Adonis, and Adonis was the national champion, and he was advocating his title to help Aldis, keeping Murdoch from coming after him, and it backfired. But he even mentioned at the time that, Aldis had mentioned at the time that Masters Adonis had always had that clause if he wanted a shot at the title. Bobby Batista says, I'd like to see Bennett have a singles match in the NWA. Agreed. Bennett's great. And yeah, Shawn Omega, there it is, being the number 1 contender. Jody says, if Billy has generous of Aldis not in the title picture, then he needs to stop booking him to look like the face of the NWA and start to build another one. Yeah, I agree with you a lot, Dodie. But I mean, Aldis doesn't need to be champion to still be the face of the NWA, because even after he's gone, the people are going to look at him as the face of the NWA. Same way they did with Pierce when he lost the title to Brent Albright or to Blue Demon Jr. You still became synonymous with the brand because of the championships that you held the time you were champion. Pierce is a guy that's always going to be synonymous with the NWA, regardless of his work with the WWE. Aldis, no matter how much he did in Impact, Global Force Wrestling, whatever, he's always going to be looked at as an NWA guy for what he did for the title. So I agree with you, but I also disagree. Willie Bowen says, we never see Barry Windham, Muta, Satoshi Kojima, and Giant Baba with the 10 pounds of gold. Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, Barry Windham, when he was champion, it was big gold. So you didn't see him with the 10 pounds because of that. Same thing with Muta. They had the big gold belt. Kojima, there's pictures of Kojima with the title. Same thing with Baba. I know that they being the NWA, are very protective of how they showcase the title. And really, like, we only hear about guys like Flair, Harley Race, the Briscoes, the Funks. I mean, we don't really see we don't see Chris Candido with the belt. Very rarely do they show Dan Severn with the belt. They kind of focus on like the big 4, Dusty, the Funks, and Harley, and occasionally Gerald Briscoe, not Gerald, Jack Briscoe. Let's see. Lamb. Yes. I don't know that James Ellsworth still gets you 2 million views. Kurt North says NWA Power versus UWN versus NWA USA from the All Elite KW. Thanks, Kurt. Pipe says hit that like button. Absolutely, guys. Bobby Petito says, I'd like to see more of Maddie Redikowski, just Maddie, and Christy Janes at the NWA. Big fan of Christy Janes. Like her a lot. I agree with you on that one. I can't wait to see more of her. Now, guys, we've gone almost as long as we're going to go. I do appreciate you guys being here. Remember, come back later and an hour after Power to see Amaris Blair in our interview. We didn't even talk about some of the other matches that are coming up tonight. Man. Also, these 2 matches have been announced for Power Trip 2. You got Mike Knox versus Harry Smith, and Homicide versus Colby Corino for the junior heavyweight title. That match has been booked too. So we're going to wrap it up, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being a part of the show. We do appreciate you guys being here each and every week on Tuesdays. Come back on Thursday too, because we'll be talking about tonight's show. And like I said, we appreciate you being here. And I'm looking for the button to end the show. All right, guys, it's been fun. Always a good time. We'll see you at the match. Thanks for checking out the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA POWERRR every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance blog. And until next time, we are the Alliance.